Folks, I feel like people come up with a lot of reasons for why fighting games are one of the more niche genres when it comes to esports. You know, people say stuff like motion inputs are too hard. That's a big one. Or you have no one to blame when you lose because you don't have teammates. But one that I hear people talk about a lot that I personally agree with quite a bit is lack of compelling single player in fighting games. Not very many fighting games these days have very good single player, which is kind of strange because a lot of the games that do have good single player are really successful. Like one of the highest selling fighting games period is Super Smash Bros. If you guys don't know, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate sold 30 million copies. It's the highest selling fighting game of all time. And I truly believe a big part of that is the offline features. You know, a lot of people probably aren't even playing this online because the online kind of sucks in this game because it's made by Nintendo. So, you know, the story mode and all the different single player modes in Smash Brothers has always been best in class. And I think that's one of the reasons why it's so popular. And I can already sense the comments, you know, the unoriginal people in the comments who always post the same thing. Smash isn't a fighting game, whatever. If we only want to talk about traditional fighting games, you know, games like Injustice and Mortal Kombat are really well known for having good story modes. They're always insanely successful games, selling 10 plus million copies in some cases. And a lot of this, I think, comes down to the story mode. We have the stats to back it up on PlayStation, at least. If we look at the amount of people who have won 10 ranked matches, that is not that many, 10 ranked matches, 1% of people who played Injustice 2 ever won 10 ranked matches. Whereas if we go to, you know, who's completed 50% of story mode? 33%. So a third of the player base has completed half of story mode, and actually 27% have completed all of it. So 27 times as many people have completed story mode as have won 10 ranked matches only. That's all it takes, 10 matches. But, you know, a lot of people, that's not what they care about. They care about the story mode. And, you know, Soulcalibur 6, I think, is another example. If we look at how many people completed the main story of Soul Chronicle, 21.7%. So about 1 in 5, a little more than that, have completed the main story of Soul Chronicle. How many people have won 5 ranked matches? 5.6%. So, you know, about 1 in 4 of the people who have played through the main story of Soul Chronicle have played 5 ranked matches or won 5 ranked matches. So again, single player is really, really popular. And that, of course, brings us to what is basically the point of this video, which is to talk about Street Fighter 6. So they showed in the Street Fighter 6 showcase quite a bit of the single-player story mode in Street Fighter 6. And I gotta say, I've been really impressed. I feel like this is probably the most in-depth story mode we've ever seen in a Street Fighter game. I guess it's not really close. Street Fighter 5's story mode was kind of bad. Street Fighter 4 did not have a story mode. Neither did 3 or 2, so I feel like Alpha 3 is probably the closest thing. So we're actually getting a real story mode here with like multiple open world stages. From what I know, there's only 2 true open world stages. It's Metro City, and then it's this new one that they revealed in India. But there's also these smaller stages that are based on the, you know, in-game stages, so like the Genbu Temple, and then the arena where Marisa hangs out, Russia with Zangief, that kind of thing. So we've got all these worlds to explore and some pretty interesting elements as well, like training under the specific characters from Street Fighter. Like one thing that I think is really cool is that as you're playing through story mode, you're basically building up your custom avatar to be this custom character that can have any combination of moves that you learn throughout the story mode. So I think that's a really cool idea to, you know, it's kind of like Pokemon or something where there's the single player, which is why most people play. They just want to play through the single player. But then you can take your Pokemon that you catch in that and fight them against other people. That's kind of what you're doing with your custom create a character in the Battle Hub. So I think that that is really, really genius that they let you, you know, use it across modes. Obviously, you can't take them into like ranked matches or anything. It's just for, you know, here in the Battle Hub for casual matches, but it's still really, really cool. So let's talk about some of the other stuff that we saw in this story mode. So we've got, speaking of Pokemon, you've got your Gary Oak rival, who I guess you're gonna kind of be butting heads with throughout the game. And then you've got, you know, our first real look at what the open world gameplay is gonna be like. walking around challenging people. Also similar to Pokemon, it feels like if you make eye contact with someone, you can kind of force them to fight you and they can't say no. The world of Street Fighter 6 is very post-apocalyptic in that everyone has to fight to survive, I guess. Or maybe it's just for fun. It's hard to say, but they also are kind of integrating the tutorial with the story mode, which I think is quite smart. I think people will learn more when they're engaged in actually playing rather than, just reading text on screen. I think it's good that they're, giving you kind of this interactive element and tying it into the story mode, since it's kind of canonically tied in with you training under the characters and stuff. It makes sense that they would actually teach you how to play. And then in a lot of ways, I feel like it just kind of feels like a normal, AAA open world game, which is kind of crazy for something that is essentially like a side mode in a fighting game. It feels like they've put a ton of work into it. Like, it really reminds me a lot of like Yakuza, for example, the idea that, there's this city that you essentially live in, that you're running around and you get in random fights with people. I really like how not all the fights are 1v1. There's like beat 'em up style fights. There's fights where you get AI compatriots. What's the word I'm looking for? AI teammates to help you. Which I think is pretty cool to mix things up a little bit. And then there's stuff like, you can buy food from the different vendors. The food gives you in-battle bonuses. Also, there's RPG elements. Have we talked about that? So like you can see here, there's not only the way that you can customize your character by picking exactly what special moves you want to have access to. You kind of build your roster of moves, but also you can upgrade specific aspects of your character, make your punches stronger if you want to run a bunch of punch moves, So I feel like it's cool that you can customize your character in such a way. And since there is that extra layer of you can fight your custom character against other people, I feel like that actually incentivizes you to engage with all these systems and not just kind of, autopilot your way through the story. Also, you can call in assists, which is cool. I don't know, man. I'm just really impressed by all this. It just feels like they went the extra mile. I think if we think back about what Street Fighter V was like at launch, it was really like, how little can we put in the game and still get away with it? Didn't it kind of feel that way? Like the game was so rushed that they just kind of had to sneak it out with, the bare minimum that it needs to survive. But now we're definitely not seeing that. We're seeing them really put in more work than they need to, make this mode more in depth than it probably needs to, but it just shows that a lot of care is being taken to make, Street Fighter a big deal again, make people, get back into this franchise who maybe haven't played in a few games. So I think they've done a really good job. And then there is, of course, the demo. So in case you guys somehow missed the news, there's now a demo for Street Fighter 6 on PS4 and 5. It's coming to the other platforms in just a few days, I think, on the 26th. So you can check out the game right now for yourself if you didn't get into the closed betas, you haven't played the game at all. This is a great opportunity. It is only single player, which is a bit of a bummer for me. Obviously I wanted to play more online. But you can play like the first chapter of World Tour mode. You can play versus CPU. You can play local multiplayer, I guess, if you have a friend next to you. But you can only play as Luke or Ryu, so there's not that much to it. But yeah, if you haven't gotten your hands on the game up until now, this is a way to do it. And I think the demo is just going to be up forever because, obviously they want to sell people who are thinking about picking up the game. So yeah, as for World Tour in this mode, in the demo, I think overall, it was pretty fun. It kind of cuts off before we really get to the good stuff, like before you can even find your second mentor to teach you new special moves so you can do the whole like custom character thing. But just like running around, getting into random fights with people, buying food, getting experience points, upgrading your stats, like it's all pretty fun. So I'm feeling really, really hopeful about World Tour mode in Street Fighter 6 when it finally comes out. Again, I'm more of a hardcore player. I'm going to be pretty focused on ranking up and everything like that. But for the more casual players, I think this mode is going to be really good. And, I'm sure I'll play through it once. I got to build up the perfect avatar so that I can defeat people in the battle hub with my really broken combinations. I mean, can you imagine? Like, we'll give him like Ryu Shoryuken, we'll give him Dalsim Teleport, Guile Sonic Boom. Like, we'll just make the most broken character of all time. It'll be amazing. Zangief SPD? Like, come on. We'll make Dalsim and we'll give him Zangief Command Throw. It'll be the most broken character ever. So yeah, I really like that idea. like the custom character thing, and then, you know, facing off with the other people. I think that's a really awesome aspect. But what do you guys think? How you feeling about the story mode in this game so far? Are you a story mode gamer yourself? Are you one of those people when we were looking at the Soulcalibur and Injustice trophies who primarily focuses on single player content? I would love to hear about it. And let me know, do you guys want to see perhaps some more beta gameplay footage? Maybe I'll take on the level 8 CPUs or something. Let me know if you'd be interested in that. But with that, I think we're going to end the video. Hope you guys have enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, everybody.